Let me tell you a story about a woman who had two small children under the age of 10. And one day, both her children came to her and told her that the man that she had been dating was abusing them. And she was devastated. Like, she couldn't believe what they were saying, but she took the necessary steps, cut him out of her life, and then tried to move on with healing with her children. She sent them to counseling. She vowed to make it up to them. And over the years, they seemed to get better. But then when they became teenagers, for some reason, they started to lash out. They would yell at her, slam doors in her face, and they generally wouldn't listen to what she said. And because she felt so guilty because she had allowed that man into her life, she was softer on them than she should have been. Over time, it just got worse and worse and worse till she would cry herself to sleep at night. She would actually have to lock her door because she was scared of what they would do or what they would say. They ran her house. Eventually, they became adults, but neither one of the kids ever moved out. She asked them to, but they said they ain't going nowhere, and what's she going to do about it? So she would just go in her room and cry. One day, a friend of hers pulled her to the side and said, "Hey, I got to tell you something. You're in an abusive relationship with your children." And she was stunned. And she was like, "I don't know what I'm supposed to do about it. They said they won't leave." And then her friend said, "You know what to do." So she went home that day, thought about it for a second. Then she went down to her leasing office and she told them that she was going to be moving out. When she got back to her apartment, she told her children, "Hey, you got one more month and then I'm leaving." And they was upset with her, started cursing at her, throwing things at her. She just went back in her room and locked the door. A couple of weeks later, her daughter came to her and said, "Okay, you leaving? I'm leaving too." Her daughter moved out. But her son just would continue to curse at her and say he ain't going nowhere. The day she had to turn back in her keys, her son was still sitting in the house, and she left him there, and she moved on to her new apartment. Fast forward years later, the kids are now full grown. Her son does not speak to her at all. He says she was a horrible mother and he hates her. He wants nothing to do with her. But the daughter, after growing up, eventually realized what she had been doing and she apologized to her mother and she wanted to be close. The daughter had actually moved overseas and the daughter would call her all the time because she wanted her mother to be her companion while she was overseas. Her daughter kept calling and calling at all times of the day and all times of the night, expecting her to always answer the phone like she always did, to be at her beck and call. And she didn't want to. She got tired of her daughter getting mad at her because she wouldn't answer the phone every time. And she thought to herself, you know what? They have been callous with my feelings the entire time. I did my best to make up for the mistake that I made when they was younger. I'm tired of feeling guilty, and I'm not going to let them make me pay for it for the rest of my life. She stopped answering when she didn't feel like it.